Coming to you live on location, this is the Between the Benches podcast, where we will discuss anything and everything hockey related. Let's drop the puck and get the action underway. Hello, everybody, and welcome back into another episode of the Between the Benches podcast. As always, it's your boy Dak. We are sponsored by the Old City Sports Network. Make sure to check out oldcitysports.com for all of your blogs, news, articles, the merch store, even better. Also, you can use that promo code BTB15 for 15% off your purchases. I'm waiting for mine in the mail. Hopefully, maybe next episode I'll have some swag, if you will. As always, I'm joined by my esteemed Canadian colleagues. We have fairy-sized Graham Faw and Big Canada Daddy Brock Finch. Fellas, how are we doing?
Better now.
Yeah, I was going to say better now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in a great mood. Great mood, Dalton. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. I'm not going to waste this transition. Fuck it. The Leafs are in the second round, baby.
Nice.
Let's go.
I thought you were going to say Vegas was in the second round because you said they were going to win in 6.
That would have been very funny. I nailed that series. You know who didn't nail that series?
Who's that?
Yeah, who is that?
Oh, one of you two. I'll give you 3 guesses.
Nice. There it is. Well, fair enough. Well, we do have some, we do got some playoff hockey to discuss this episode. That's a mouthful for some of us. Before we get into it, make sure if you haven't already, check us out on Instagram, YouTube, give us a like, follow, subscribe, and wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, everything in between. And let's go around the rink, shall we? Around the Rink is sponsored by IronSteelThreads.com. Make sure to check out IronSteelThreads.com. They got great hoodies, shirts, other apparel. They come out with new designs every month. And you can use the promo code OldCity10 for 10% off anything on the site. Again, anything you buy on the site, some of the proceeds do go back to youth hockey organizations. So, again, that's what we're here for, helping the game grow. But the first thing I want to talk about this evening on Around the Rink is we have a coaching carousel, fellas. We have 8 openings as it stands right now. Tocchet was announced that he was not going to return as the Canucks head coach. We had Mike Sullivan and the Pittsburgh Penguins parting ways. Fun little stat, by the way, about Mike Sullivan. Did you know he's the only American head coach to win multiple Stanley Cups?
I did not know that.
I found that fascinating. Yeah, I found that incredibly fascinating. So the 8 teams, by the way, we have the Rangers, the Flyers, the Bruins, the Kraken, the Penguins, the Blackhawks, the Canucks, and the Ducks. And that's a mouthful. So if you had to tell me, I guess first thing is, do you see a fit right away for anybody that's available, or at one of those 8 organizations should immediately make a move to sign this person?
Graham, do you want Tocchet or do you want Sullivan? Because I think we know the answer to both of those.
I would argue Tortorella is the one where you think Sullivan's going to go.
I am 100% certain Sullivan is signing in New York.
Do you have sources?
That is, I mean, I think it was Friedman. I did see a quote today. I can't remember who it specifically was, but apparently it's going to set a new record for highest paid coach in the NHL.
Yeah, they're already in contract talks.
Yeah, it's literally basically all but done.
Okay.
They wanted him something fierce.
Nice.
And then Tocchet, I believe Minnesota. Philly will be the front runner. I haven't heard anything specific, though. I just know that they're obviously really interested. Maybe we should reach out to
Jesse did.
folks.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jesse did mention. Yeah, he did mention Tocchet was a strong candidate for the position.
I think it makes a lot of sense just because apparently he has a way with communicating with people. Like he was apparently like the Phil Kessel whisperer in Pittsburgh, and well, he did a great job in Vancouver with just about everybody except Elias Pettersson for some reason. So, I mean, I guess that's a little odd for me touting him right now. Yeah, I think that he's the obvious front runner there, and we've talked a bit off pod, you and I, Dalton, about like potentially the Lightning walking away from.
Don't do that right now. We got. I put in the outline to talk about it for a certain series. So, Graham, let me ask you a question: Is there a best opening in your opinion? I guess out of the 8 teams, which is the best opening in your opinion?
The best I kind of think would be Philly, Anaheim, or Vancouver.
In that order?
I don't know if it's ordered, but they're kind of in the same tier.
So I like it.
I like it because they have. Well, I just think if you're going to coach, the younger guys are easier to coach. You can shape their minds. They don't have that many NHL games. So your version of NHL hockey, you can mold them quicker.
So tell me why you favor. So, okay, let me ask you this. Do you put Philadelphia over Anaheim, or do you, like you said, you see them kind of as the same, but I think Anaheim is a little bit above Philly. For one thing, I think their division, well, they have a goalie, but their division, I think, is a little bit easier. I guess if I had to pick a Pacific
I
versus
thought you
the
were
Metro,
talking about like from the perspective of a coach.
Yeah, I mean, well,
he is.
Even
He
from,
is.
yeah, I was gonna say either way.
He is. Like I understand
I just the skill set of Anaheim a little bit higher than Philadelphia.
I understand what Graham means in the sense that they're just young. That's all he's acknowledging there. He's not really saying where one team is on their, trajectory. I would agree more with Vancouver than those other two, just because they're losing Besser, sure, but I still think as long as they go out and spend that money appropriately, that they are the most poised to bounce back in a weaker Pacific division. I don't think it's the worst division. The Central is far and away the worst division in hockey, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, for that reason, I think Vancouver would be the most enticing.
Okay.
For all the above listed reasons. Like, they're still pretty young. They have to get this right, or they could be looking at something catastrophic, because if Quinn Hughes isn't going to buy what they're selling, his contract's up in 2 more seasons, and he's apparently made it clear that he's not doing a rebuild. Which why the hell would you?
Yeah,
I'm gonna say, why the hell would you if you're him? So.
Right.
I also hate the Quinn Hughes stuff to Jersey. I want to throw that in there right now. While we're on Quinn, just to
You know what? How about we just trade Elias Pettersson for Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes?
Okay.
Nice.
You can throw in some picks,
Hughes
make it work.
That's never gonna happen.
Now, counterpoint to that, Graham, can you tell me like which of these teams is the worst one to go to?
That's the easiest. Pittsburgh.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? You think it's Pittsburgh? Okay.
Yes,
dude, they're going to be bad for a long time. Yeah.
No
I think you can make the same argument with Seattle, though.
No. Pittsburgh's going to be like bottom, like 2 to 4-ish team in the league for the next like 3 to 4 years minimum.
So you're saying I should put a future on Tristan Jarry to win the Vezina anytime soon? Okay.
I would not be putting many futures bets on the Pittsburgh Penguins unless they are to win the lottery.
Gotcha. Okay. So by far and away, it's Pittsburgh. Okay. Well, we'll definitely see what happens moving forward. Do you anticipate any of these openings to be filled before the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I think the biggest names on the list will get signed as soon as possible. I think the longer you wait, then the more teams they can talk to, the less chance you have of landing them. So if you have the opportunity, you take them while you can.
With that being said, again, I already hinted at this, but there are teams that could still be playing in the playoffs where other teams could be waiting to see like what happens with those teams. Like, again, I'm sorry, Dalton, but Tampa was a good example of maybe somebody was waiting to hear on how that would play out. And we're still waiting to hear on how that's going to play out. So that's a wrinkle that you can look at as well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, fair enough. Well, we'll transition here. The other thing I wanted to get your guys' opinion on is, how do we feel about the Utah Mammoth? I don't know if you guys have seen this on social media, but it was like leaked on the YouTube page of the Utah Hockey Club where they changed their @. It's like, if you look at the YouTube, it's like Utah Hockey Club, but it's Utah Mammoth now. So it's kind of like
they did it without a
publicly known secret, basically. So how do we feel about the name? If this is what they're going to go with, is the Mammoth? I know they voted on it, but
infinitely better than Hockey Club.
Okay.
Infinitely better?
I still miss the Yeti. I still feel like
I don't think it's infinitely better. I think it's better, but not like a lot.
At least you can have a mascot. What are you gonna do? Like a hockey stick with a club?
No, like, okay, now you're just taking the name way too. When does the mascot? Okay, there's Stinger. Fair. There's Stinger in Columbus.
Yes,
what are you talking about? He's not a walking cannon. He's not a walking cannon. A mascot's a mascot. They do have a walking
cannon still.
Okay, cool. That's not the mascot. Is that his name? No, it's Stinger. Stinger's the mascot.
Nice.
Shut up.
I'm still with you, Graham. They still could have. They should have went with the Yeti, and they could have played in the cooler.
I still don't understand how they couldn't reach an agreement.
It could have been a beautiful branding that I feel like they totally missed out on. Honestly. Seriously,
we did hockey a disservice by not forwarding them our idea.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. So if anybody from the Utah Hockey Club finds this episode, make sure to reach out to our agents. We'll be more than happy to discuss terms and move forward from there. And then the last thing I want to touch on, get it in the mail. Hey, did you ever get your check in the mail, by the way, Graham? You said the last couple episodes it was still in the mail. Did it ever arrive?
I'm not
from your for your Tournament of Champions, I think.
Oh, yes.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I was curious how that worked because like another episode or another podcast listen to Pardon My Take, whenever they get golfers on, and usually after they win tournaments, they ask them if that wire has hit their bank account. Like, oh yeah, how'd that transfer go?
And you're just like, come on.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering if it's like the same thing in your realities. That's fun little like into the life of. So, and then the last thing I wanted to discuss too, Taylor Hall got an extension. I think it was a 3-year, 3.167 average annual value. It's $9.5 million overall. How big of a bargain is this, Brock?
I don't know if I call it a bargain, but he's definitely been a good fit there. I'm drawing blank on his age off the top of my head, so I'd love to know that before I pass too much judgment on it.
I'm guessing
saw it,
33.
I would guess. Good guess.
Yeah, I would have guessed around 33, 34. So, I mean, you're probably still getting at least a couple good years out of him. He still seems to have the legs, which is a big part of, who Taylor Hall has been in his career. So I guess as long as he's still got the legs and it looks great in that Carolina system, who doesn't look great in that Carolina system except Mikko Rantanen? I think that it's a good fit. I think that it makes a lot of sense. Gives them some nice depths, good middle six winger. I'm not really sure he's much of a fourth liner. I don't even know if he kills penalties. If he kills penalties, I really like this deal. If he kills penalties,
I just see him like a middle winger, and in case of an injury, he can move up and be competitive still.
Yeah,
and he's cheap. Cap's going up $3 million for a guy, a former first overall.
Yeah,
former Hart winner. Yeah.
That was my first thought. Was the cap going up? I feel like that's a
Relax.
great. Okay,
I
feel like that was a great value.
Yeah.
Especially with the cap going up. But no, perfect. Well, we will transition into. That's a great way to transition into our Eastern Conference preview. It's sponsored by CustomConcessions.net. Make sure to hit CustomConcessions.net for any food truck needs. They'll take care of you. Make sure you tell them that Between the Benches sent you over to them. But we'll start with Carolina since they were the first ones to clinch. So Carolina did win the series 4-1. Yeah, I was gonna say those butt cheeks. Anyway, Aho had the double overtime winner. They had 2 double overtimes games in this series. The victory featured a 3-0 comeback, which was, I thought, fascinating how the Devils came out with their asses on fire, pun intended, because it's the Devils. But how impressed are we with Carolina in this series? I mean, they did battle a kind of bruised and beaten Jersey Devils team.
They took care of business. They did what they were supposed to do. And everybody predicted, I don't know about you, but everyone I spoke to had them in 5 or 4. Some people were ambitious with a sweep. But, I mean, when you're out Jack Hughes and then you saw the Luke Hughes went down, I forget, Brendan Dillon, is he the other one? They lost 2 defensemen after like game 1 or something like that. And that's really, really tough to recover from, especially against a really, really well-coached Carolina team. The Corsi gods, if anyone knows what Corsi is, they are the Corsi gods.
One thing in that series I will say is New Jersey's got to feel confident in inking Markstrom down.
Yeah.
In the big games he performed.
Wasn't his fault.
Just watching those games, sure, he gives up 4 or 5, but it could have been 11 or 12.
On like 50 shots. Yeah, like fuck.
Like he drugged them into OT, kept their season going for as long as he could, but it was inevitable.
Yeah, and just to prove your point too, Carolina had 183 shots in 5 games. So pretty impressive. They did have a 10.4 shooting percentage, which is about normal. So it's not like, to your point, it's not like he was bad or anything of that regard. Mm-hmm. So Freddie Anderson did not play in game 5. They had Peter Kochetkov in net. I guess now that we know the second round matchups, which we'll get to the other team here in a second, do you feel that Freddie is a necessity for this team to be moving forward past the second round or into even like the conference final or Stanley Cup final?
No, I don't really think it matters who's playing that for Carolina.
I think Carolina's a pretty plug and play kind of system.
I think that they can put most types of goalies into that net, and they will find some sort of success.
Okay.
That being said, they're going to need good goaltending. It's still the playoffs, and Washington.
Correct. That's not yes.
Deal it.
That's not to say that you can, have your goalie blunder, because you will struggle if you're not getting goaltending. But I don't think they will.
Well, fair enough. Any other positive spin zones or takeaways for New Jersey other than Jakob Markstrom? Because Dougie Hamilton did kind of struggle. I think he only had 2 points in the whole 5 games. I mean, obviously they were injured to death, but I mean, anything else we could take away from with Jersey?
Not really.
Okay.
I didn't have any standouts. Not for good or bad reasons, which I guess that alone is a good thing.
Right.
Or it can be.
But,
it can be.
Yeah. You were outmatched. Everyone kind of felt that way going into it, and it just happened.
Well, speaking of being outmatched, by the way, the next series we wanted to discuss was the Capitals and the Montreal Canadiens. So Washington takes care of business. They beat Montreal on home ice. They win the series 4-1. They had a total goals or cumulative goals score of 18-12. Another fun stat I didn't know: the Capitals had lost 5 straight playoff series since winning the Cup in 2018. So they get that monkey off their back. Ovechkin is still doing Ovechkin things. He had 4 goals in the series. He did tie Mario Lemieux for the 12th most playoff goals in NHL history, with 76 total. So pretty good there. Other standouts I had, Dylan Strome had 9 points. He had 2 goals and 7 assists in the playoffs and has points in all 5 games. And then Logan Thompson, he was 4-1 with a .923 save percentage. Lane Hudson was basically one of the only bright spots for Montreal. He had 5 points in 5 games. Cole Caulfield had 3 of their 12 total goals. So I guess fast forward to next series, looking forward, do you see whether Carolina or Washington has an edge over one or the other? Or I feel like these are 2 pretty evenly matched teams, even though the systems are different. One is probably more player based.
First things first, let's give Montreal their flowers before we just hop over them into the second round. I think that series easily could have been 2-2 going into that final game. The fact that it wasn't is just a testament to how good Washington was. They showed up after sputtering down the stretch and proved to all of us that they really were the real deal this year. But I really do think we need to acknowledge that Montreal's future looks incredibly bright. I don't think there's much for them to. Oh, we have a question?
No, I'm acknowledging Montreal.
Oh, thank you. Yes. There just isn't a whole lot of negative things to take away if you're a Montreal fan. You had no expectations. Like what? What expectations did they have that they didn't meet?
What are you going to do with Laine?
He had an upper body injury, Graham.
Oh, is that it?
An upper labia injury?
Wow, nice. Yeah. No, his hymen was hurt.
Hey now. Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. That you got one more year at 8.7 or whatever it is, and he was getting benched for.
No, he had an upper body
to
injury.
your point, Montreal, they played very well. They were physical. They were skilled. They dominated play at times. Mm-hmm. Their power play is going to be very scary as early as next year.
Boy, yes.
I think they're only going to continue to get better, and I think the Bell Center is going to have more important games played in it in the years to come.
100%.
He has an 8.7, by the way, for the cap hit for Patrick Laine. Can confirm. Yeah. So,
anyways,
but again, back to my original question, Graham.
Your original
Who has
question.
The edge moving into the second round? Is it Carolina or is it Washington? I mean, Logan Thompson has been playing extremely well. I feel like if he continues this, I feel like Washington can keep up with Carolina.
I feel like Washington's the team to root for. I feel like they're a more emotional team. When I think of Carolina, I think more tactically. Like with how Brendan Moore has it, they're more, I guess, the advanced stats, the chip pucks in deep, cycle it around till you get your chance. But Washington, they feed on momentum. So if you give them any open ice, you still have Ovi's shot to worry about. Wilson's putting in goals despite everything else he's doing in every playoff game. So it's going to be a lot to handle, and I think both teams are going to be tested.
I would lean this is much more of a coin flip than the other Eastern Conference second round that we're going to talk about. I think that this is much more either team could win. I would predict at least 6 or 7 games out of this series. I do think that it's fair to point out that Thompson could be the X factor, but when I look at star power in general, I don't know how you don't give it to Washington. Like they've just got much more household names, at least at the top of the lineup. The bottom of the lineup, I think, is where Carolina could get their licks in, but I don't see a favorite at all. Unless you guys can think of something I'm not thinking of, an X factor. That Alexander Nikishin, I think that's his name. I know Nikishin's his last name. The Carolina prospect, if he steps in and, finds a way to seamlessly transition onto North American ice, that could maybe be an X factor. Maybe he gives that power play the bump that it's, I don't want to say been lacking, but maybe it pushes them to another level. That could maybe.
They haven't had that guy since Dougie.
I'm just saying that, Shane Goss is spare for all his warts.
Yeah, plug and play.
But
they haven't had that guy since Dougie.
I know. I'm just saying that you want to talk about potential X factors for the Hurricanes. That's really the only one that leaps off the page. Not to shit on I
was gonna say, I feel like
great.
Yeah.
When you think of superstar in this league, like Sebastian Aho, Nathan McKinnon,
they're
not really in the same breath, is what I'm saying, or at least what I'm insinuating.
That could be. I was kind of looking too. Logan Stankoven has been a slam dunk. Yeah, he's been a slam dunk as far as an acquisition. I mean, Seth Jarvis too on their third line. I mean, he's projected on their third line right now, playing with Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook, and he's had a career year. Maybe he can continue to stay hot. But I feel like this is the meme where the one guy's looking in the mirror at himself and like pointing the finger. I feel like these teams are built very similarly, and their playoff experience, I think, is very similar. So I think from that regard, it's going to be an interesting series to watch, just because I feel like both teams had more of that upper advantage in the first round. Obviously, the Devils are playing kids because of injuries and everything else and inexperienced players. And then obviously Montreal is literally a bunch of kids. So I feel like the experience card is definitely out the window when it comes to these two teams. But should be a nice physical battle. How many what's the over-under on Tom Wilson Pims in this series? Like 27, 28, you think?
I actually don't think I put it that high.
I'd take the under.
I was gonna say I'd take the under on that one.
Yeah. To your point,
who's he gonna feud with? Who's he gonna feud with? Mr. WWE himself over here.
Eric Robinson, maybe? I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Brett Burns. Brett Burns gets involved. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like an old man.
Yeah. Well, Tom Wilson's getting up there too. So
he's not 40.
Anyway, no, well, he has been. And to Graham's point, Tom Wilson definitely has been one of the X factors for the Canadians. Listen to me, for the Capitals in that first series against the Canadians. But we'll definitely see moving forward. We did have another series end in the East, Battle of Florida. We won't talk about that. Let's go to the Battle of Ontario.
No. You're not rushing over this. No.
All right. So
let's do that. Let's do it like this, Graham. Yeah. We're gonna talk. We're gonna fill a minute or two here, and then Dalton, we're just gonna sit silent and let your thoughts out. So Graham, take it away. What do we have to say about the Battle of Florida?
Vasilevsky. Not the Vasilevsky.
Not where I would have started, but yeah, fair point.
But I mean, there's a lot that went on in this series, and a lot of the times you look at goaltending. He was not the Vasilevsky you'd expect. I think it was a big part of why the Lightning fell as early as they did, because I felt like that series was a coin flip.
Yep.
That being said, I love the physicality. I hated the cheapness. Like, I don't like dirty plays. There was a lot of it in that series. Mm-hmm. Whenever player safety has to get involved, I think it skews the games in any direction. So sure. I don't like it for that point, but entertaining, I'll say.
So for me, that series was not won and lost by the goaltending, but Vazzy definitely didn't have his best showing.
87% save percentage, by the way.
For me, yeah, okay, hang on. Go look at how many power play goals Tampa Bay scored.
Ooh,
Florida figured out how to stop for my money, the best power play of the last decade. They looked...
And even score against it.
Pardon?
And even score against the power play.
And even score against the power play.
Well, they led the league in shorthanded goals against.
Okay, fine, but I'm just saying, like that power play has always been automatic, especially in the postseason. And they looked, not only did they look bad, they looked just out of sorts. Like Kucherov was not dangerous, and that just feels weird to say words.
He definitely had
those words in that
moments.
order. Sure, because Kucherov, but him on the power play, he's supposed to look like he's supposed to look like an alien on the power play. And he did not look. He looked human, very human on that power play this series. For me, that's where this series was won by the Panthers. They stymied that power play into oblivion. I don't know the exact stat off the top of my head, but I know they didn't score much. How many power play goals? There you go. 18. Yeah. Sorry, Bob. That's not going to cut it for any team, let alone going against the Panthers. You cannot only go 2 for 18. That's sad. That is very sad. But that being said, Dalton, our resident Lightning home. The floor
and
is
still
yours.
current. We have to ask now.
Oh no, he's not. No, he's fully jumped ship. He's jumped ship. We're getting there. We're getting there.
I got way too many articles of clothing to like jump ship now. I got way too many hoodies and jerseys.
No. Same color scheme. Same color scheme. You just gotta draw a different picture on it, fella. It's all good.
No, we've had a good run for 10 years. I'm all for the dramatic. Don't get me wrong, but I just think Brock's a shitty friend because he built this up so much, and then to have it crumble like that in front of me was just so much fun. Just so much fun. But it's the third straight year that they've been eliminated in the first round, so that's just kind of a jolt to the system. As far as just the expectation, I mean, I guess it's just we were so spoiled for so long, so it's hard to be like what the hell is going on? To me, it just feels like they're missing a right-handed shot on that power play and just in general. To me, the passiveness was on display. I don't know if that's got to do more with like the Panthers' style of play or if they're just trying to make the perfect play all the time instead of just getting the puck to the net. Like Kucherov turned the puck over so many times just because he's trying to dangle or he's trying to get around somebody instead of just cycling or moving the puck. It seemed like the second power play unit did a better job of establishing zone time and dangerous chances just because you could tell the difference between the first and second power play is the second power play unit would dump the puck in and chase it to where the first power play unit was just all about trying to get the zone with speed and just the style of, which is obviously the players, right? But it's just the style did not match, to your point, what Florida was doing. And they were obviously doing a good job of penalty killing. That's why they're a Stanley Cup champion of the past year. But it's tough.
How much do you think they missed Stamkos? Do you think he would have played a factor?
On that power play?
On the power play, absolutely. I think at 5-on-5, Jake Gensel is by far the better player. And he is. And it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, obviously. I think Sergachev is a bigger loss than what Stamkos is, to be honest with you. I think Sergachev would be a lot better he would have been better to keep than Stamkos if they could have maybe made that happen. But Tampa Bay has also lost 9 of its past 10 playoff games at Amalie Arena, and this is one of the best home teams in the league consistently.
Holy shit.
And that was kind of when I knew this series was over, is after Florida won the first 2 games, and literally Tampa was like 18-17.
That is a backbreaker.
5 on the road this year.
That is a backbreaker. You got to at least get one of those.
Especially getting shut out game 2 when it was kind of like a must-win going into it from a standpoint. So we'll see. The big question, I guess a couple of questions I wanted to pose, but we'll talk about the Panthers real quick because Lister-Rainen had a standout performance in Game 5. He had 4 points. He became the first player in Florida Panthers club history with 4 points in a potential series-clinching game. So the Leafs should sign him whenever they get a chance. And the Panthers have advanced to the second round for the 4th straight season. So they're basically Carolina of Florida. So we'll see what happens there.
Except they win.
That's fair. That's fair.
Shut your mouth.
The big thing, too, when you were talking about player safety, Graham, I think I put this in our group chat, but how long is it until the NHL incorporates the same rule they had for 4 nations to where you can dress like an emergency forward or emergency defenseman? Just to have somebody in waiting just in case you lose a player like Hagel or just somebody in the middle of a game. I get why people would be pushing it back against it, but I think if you do that for every team, I think that's completely fair. And I think it's something that should be incorporated.
For the playoffs, I could see it, but there's also a lot of hockey going on elsewhere.
Right, the AHL playoffs and stuff like that. That's fair.
And they're going to get more of a development. Like these guys probably aren't NHL ready. The only thing you're really saving are your guys' legs. They're not going to.
You're also
double shift,
but you're also going to get a much more. Well, maybe that's not guaranteed to get a better product just because you've got 6 defensemen or 12 forwards, whatever it is. I guess that's not inherently guaranteed, especially like you said, if you're putting in a young guy or an inexperienced person, whatever.
Or a tweener,
whatever it may be. It's fair.
And the big thing too is like just watching Florida play. I don't know if there's a team in the league that can handle this team because you literally have Lundell, Marchand, and Listerrainen on the third line, and that is just it's kind of unfair. Like you were so upset when they got Marchand, and I thought it was really funny until we played this team, and then I was like, "Well, this is bullshit." They have Marchand on their third line, and
almost like I've watched him play in the playoffs for like 5 years.
I mean, their PK is just ignorant, and I mean, Marchand isn't even on the PK. I think he played a little bit on the PK, but he's not even slated on daily faceoff to be in their PK. But like, I mean, their top 6, Carter Verhaeghe is literally on a milk carton right now, and yet they're still filling the net like there's nobody in it. So
good team, dude. It's a good team.
It's just insane.
Period. End of sentence.
It's just insane. Is there anybody equipped to take on Florida?
Yes, there is. The playoffs. Yes, there is, and that's our transition to the Battle of Ontario.
Nice.
That ended tonight. In case you weren't watching, Toronto did get it done. I wasn't worried. Were you worried? I mean, I'm saying that tongue in cheek intentionally because
yes, he was worried.
No, I think I was one of the ones. No,
I have receipts.
You sure do, but you are. So Graham is quoting conversations where I get elevated because he doesn't understand the answer I'm giving him to the question he asked. He asks the questions like, "Why are you yelling?" Like, well, because you asked that stupid ass question. That's why I'm yelling. So I do think I was one of the few that weren't worried. All I did was point out when they were up 3-1 that hey, if this gets to 7, guys, we're looking at historical levels of we're talking about
he said that when Mike was here.
We're talking about historic levels of tear it down, blow it up, the memes, you name it. It would have been
for last night it would have been.
It would what?
I
didn't hear. I didn't hear either one.
I was just gonna say, do you know how sad Leaf Square would have looked if that would have happened? That's the thing I was looking forward to.
Because of how I predicted this to go, I was in the perfect scenario when they went up 3-0. Either I was right at the beginning of the year and they blow it in the most dramatic fashion you could have possibly imagined, or they win and I'm happy for it. I'm happy to be wrong, and I'll admit it here. I was wrong. They got it done. They did what they were supposed to do. I had Leafs in 6. That's what happened. It doesn't matter how we got there. We got there. They won. And they looked.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you believe?
Sure do.
Nice.
I got receipts for that.
Nice.
Sure do. Now, that being said, look at what the Florida Panthers just did to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I was, as Dalton said, I was heavily on that Tampa bandwagon because of how they had been playing down the stretch. They should have led that division this year. They got a little unlucky with some puck luck over the course of the whole season, and then they ran into the reigning Cup champions, and, well, all of that didn't fucking matter. It's out the fucking window. The Leafs power play has looked good. The Panthers penalty kill has looked even better. I will be curious to see how the special teams play out, as I expect, as every year. The playoffs come around, the whistles as we get deeper, slowly and more often get tucked away. So I expect that every power play will be very meaningful for both teams. And I'll be curious to see how that plays out, because at 5-on-5, I don't think the Leafs can get this done. I think the Panthers are too deep. They've got to win the special teams battle if they're going to win this. But it can be done. Stolarz has been playing well. That's his former team. I was going to say that's going to be really fun to watch. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder, I'm sure. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how that all shakes out. They actually have 3 former Panthers, don't they? Steven Lawrence and OEL from last year as well on that Cup winning team. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But for my money, I'd watch special teams, especially early on. I think if they split the first two in in Toronto, that it's jump ball. I would, if they win the first two, that would be incredible. But I'm not betting on that. If Florida does if Florida does to the Leafs what they did to Tampa and win the first two, well, it's been fun. Like.
Hey, Graham, tell me who the X factor is if Toronto is actually going to pull this off, because I just don't see it.
If Toronto's going to pull it off, I'm thinking it's going to be Nylander. If you got Matthews and Marner together, Nylander's the one that shows up in the playoff, like at least in the elimination games.
Yes, he always shows up when the games matter.
And he can either prolong the series or he can close it.
Okay. I like Matthew Nyes. I think he is like one of the bigger bodies.
I think him and Tkachuk are going to battle.
Yes. I'm really looking forward to that because those two big men. I mean, Matthew Nyes is ginormous. Every time I forget.
He is.
He's like 230 pounds. He's a big boy. I was watching the night. I'm like, God, that's a big man. That is just a big, scary man. So. Yeah. Okay. So who's the X factor if Florida is going to pull this off? Is it their is that literally what the series comes down to? Is just the special teams?
Well, for me, yeah, that's my personal opinion. But if you want me like pick a name, like Barkov leaps off the page. Like you're talking two of the premier two-way centers in Matthews and Barkov. I'll be interested to see how they play.
Toronto has the top face-off percentage win. I think Florida is second. So I think that's going to be fascinating too.
Yeah, they have like 4 or 5 guys now that are really good on the draw. So I'll be curious to see how that shakes out too, for sure. For sure.
Can Toronto handle the physicality of Florida?
No. Oh yeah. They can.
Why not, Graham?
No, okay, yeah, why?
They're going to wear them down. You just went to war with Ottawa.
And
Florida's going to be no better. Yeah,
I'd argue Florida.
The last 3 games against Ottawa.
Florida.
Your confidence must be through the fucking roof.
Yes and no. Like you're using like the way the series shook out to kind of needle like what was expected. Like just because they won 2 games in a row down 3-0, that changes the fact that they still won in 6. I'm not convinced that at all. I expected Ottawa to put up a fight. I expected Tampa to put up more of a fight, which is where I'd be putting my, chips if I were you, like saying, like, look at what Florida did to Tampa, who's even better than Ottawa. So that would be where I'd rest my.
I'm saying Florida's fresher.
I don't think so, dude. They just went to war with Tampa. You saw those games. They were
Ottawa
physical.
had 270 hits in 6 games on Toronto.
That's what Ottawa does, man. That's what Ottawa does. I'm not.
Which is what we're saying.
Tampa had 120
and they won
through 4 games.
Won. So what? Is Florida going to throw more hits than that? I don't think so. Like I don't think they're going to out-hit Ottawa.
Much fresher than Toronto is. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
People play hurt all the time. They mask it. We're not going to know until a week, couple
Both
weeks.
Both of those
after
teams
the playoffs
are content playing low event. Florida can beat you like so many different ways. But this year, like we said, Toronto is okay playing the game within a goal every single time. And they have no problems sitting back into a shell and letting Stolarz do his thing. That's what they've done all year. They've done it all year, and they've won more often than not.
All right, last note, we'll move on. Last couple things here. They're now 2-13 in playoff series clinching games, so that's pretty cool. Max Pacioretty was your hero. The 36-year-old Max Pacioretty, the journeyman, scored the game-winning goal tonight for Toronto. And, yeah, we'll see. I'm telling you, I think another thing we didn't mention yet either, you guys talked about this on our last pod, but if the defensemen can still continue to show up for Toronto, they will be tough to beat. If they continue to score the way they had been in the first couple games against the Senators, I think they will be pretty salty. But to shift gears into the Western Conference, by the way, the Western Conference playoffs are brought to you by decalsbyaaron.com. Make sure you check them out if you need a decal or a logo or whatever the case may be. Check them out by decalsbyaaron.com. So the first one I had up for the docket is the one that happened last night. We'll start with Winnipeg and St. Louis. I'm just going to start with this question. Is Cam Fowler the trade deadline acquisition of the year?
I mean,
He's got 9 points right now total.
He's looked real good.
Tell me why he's not. I'm gonna say, like, I feel like he's the
There's
acquisition
no reason
of the
not
year.
to. Just
Yeah.
Normally players don't just become at this point in their careers. You know, a lot of it's got to be puck luck. They got to be getting the bounces. The tips are going in. It's not to say that he's playing the same as he normally. Like, I'm sure he's playing a little better, but he's not playing this much better.
Just think about his situation. Like, he's coming from an Anaheim team that's been like sad and broken and frankly pathetic for the better part of the last like 6 or 7 years. Like, when was the last time they made the playoffs? Wasn't that when they upset the Oilers in the second round or something? Like, I think he was. I'm not even kidding. But yeah, it's been pretty sad there, and that's where he spent most of his. Actually, I think he spent his whole career there up until that trade. And you know, it's funny when you see a guy, you know, all of a sudden injected into meaningful hockey games. It just invigorates the life. I think that's exactly what's happened with Fowler.
They made it in 2018 and lost in the first round, and then 2017 they lost in the conference finals.
So that 17 was the year they beat the Oilers in the second round. Then
yeah,
that's the year.
The 33-year-old Cam Fowler really just doing it. Now, the other storyline or headline going into this game, into Game 6, is that Mark Scheifele will not be joining the Jets as they travel to St. Louis. So tell me, how do they get this done without Mark Scheifele, Graham?
It's almost an eye for an eye. Did Shen get his hearing? Do we know what came of that?
I didn't even know he had a hearing.
I thought he had one.
I wasn't able to watch most of that.
I have not seen anything yet on as far as like a suspension or a hearing for Luke Shen, but I mean, Mark Scheifele's got 6 points so far in the series. He's got 2 goals, 4 assists.
They are both in this series.
Yes.
You can be forgiven.
But yeah, I mean, Mark Scheifele, he's the heart and soul of this Jets. Well, maybe Kyle Connor's more of the heart and soul, but
Connor Hellebuck.
I'm talking about from an offensive standpoint. We'll get to Hellebuck here in just a second. Don't worry, I've got some Hellebuck stats for you. But like, how can they? I think
you're going to miss this two-way play. I think Scheifele is a very important player. I think he plays both sides of the ice very well.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's very good.
He's shooting 33%, by the way. He led the league, or he was one of the top shooting forwards this season by shooting percentage, by the way.
I would only push back on the notion of it's a big loss. It is. I'm not saying that it's not. But if you get the Connor Hellebuck of Game 3 and 4 in Game 6, I don't care if Scheifele's playing or not. That game's going to end the same way it did. How many goals did they score in those 2 games? Fucking 14?
Like 13? Yeah, I think it's 13.
Something obnoxious. I'm sorry, man. If Hellebuck doesn't show up, I don't care which roster you roll out with it, whether it's with Scheifele or not. That's
to your point, he's got an 82% save percentage through 5 games in this series, and yet he's gonna win the Vezina. Mm-hmm. He's
could win the Hart.
Literally, he's probably one of the top players. It's just crazy to me how they vote on these for regular season awards. It's a whole different discussion. But how big? I mean, so other than Hellebuck, is Kyle Connor like the other reason why the Jets are if they're gonna pull this off in Game 6? Does Kyle Connor have to go nuclear? Maybe couple goals, maybe 3 or 4 points.
I also think getting Velarde back can help ease the blow of losing Scheifele.
Okay.
Now, I don't think it's a 1-for-1 swap, but it's not like you're out both those players now.
Gotcha. Okay. Brock, tell me why Game 6 is not a must-win for the Jets, or is it a must-win? Because if they go to Game 7, all the pressure goes back to Winnipeg, and I feel like they don't handle that well at all.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, given the fact that they are the Leafs of the West. So there is that if you get to a Game 7. I still think that as long as they get back to their roots, they won the President's Trophy for a reason. They did a lot of it by committee. They can roll 3-4 lines. Their decor is about as steady as it goes now. I love the Luke Shen edition. That has looked great. I just think, don't live in Game 7. Focus on the present. You can only control your next shift. I don't think it's any more complicated than
Spoken
that.
like a true Leafs fan.
Yeah, second round.
Graham, do you think this goes 7? Do you think the Jets get it done in Game 6?
I think it's going to be a very tight game. I'm very curious to see what a desperate St. Louis team does, just because down the stretch they were so hot and they weren't desperate. You look halfway through the year, yeah, okay, they could be a wild card team. They could be on the bubble, but I don't think they played that many important games down the stretch. And so there's no game more important than this next one.
Well, and you had the stat last podcast that they literally haven't lost at home since February. And it was the team that they were playing was the last team to beat them at home. So we'll see, I guess. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it's a big steaming ball of foreshadowing that we're looking at. But to transition into another series, and actually they're playing right now. Guys, did you know the only man that could defeat the Harmonicas was Calvin Pickard? Did you know that? Like the only man.
Rockstar didn't.
Oh, man.
Now, which side were you on, Dalton? Were you on my side?
That take has aged so poorly. So poorly.
Everyone saw it, but you dude.
What do you have to say for yourself, Brock?
Oh, yeah, you definitely were so right after the first 2 games. Like I said, 3.5 games into this series, the fact that Edmonton had even won a game was incredible with how poorly they were playing the King. Like it was incredible. And now it's 3-2. I don't know the score. I'm gonna check it.
It is 3-2. It is literally Edmonton is up 3-2 as we're recording this.
Edmonton is up 3-2. Oh, isn't that a fun stat? Like it's still lots of hockey to play, hockey to be played in that game. So I'm still holding a candle for the Kings, who have frankly just absolutely sputtered down the like that.
It's not because of Darcy Kemper, I'll tell you that much. The man has been playing his ass off.
Game 5, they look
Game 3.
It looked like they broke them. It literally looked like the Oilers broke them. Like they did not look like the same team as the first 3 games of this series.
That momentum when Byfield couldn't chip it out in the final minutes.
Literally. He cost them that game. I'll die on that hill.
Series.
Yeah. Well, and I would also argue
recovered yet.
I would also argue that the coach's challenge that had happened.
I
don't understand. Like, can somebody please talk me through that? Because I'm pretty sure there was like a break. They had like a 30-second break or something had happened. Like they were cleaning the ice maybe or something. I can't remember exactly the current events, but like there was literally a lot of time for them to look at it to see if they were actually going to challenge it and win that challenge. When everybody knew they weren't going to win that challenge, they decided to fucking challenge it anyway. And then they just give literally Connor McDavid and Draisaitl a power play, and not even 30 seconds.
They scored 2 goals in less than 30 seconds. They scored 2
and
goals.
And that was my. So I guess my biggest question is that if the Kings don't win, is Jim Hiller, is he out? Like he has to be out, right? Because like the way he's managed this series to me has been a travesty. Because they almost lost game 1 with a 5-0 lead or whatever it was, maybe 5-1. They almost blew that game. Game 3, they go into Edmonton. The whole challenge situation happens. Game 4, they have a lead. They literally they were up like 15 shots going into the but they were up like 15 or 16 shots in the shot department. And Edmonton came all the way back. Like by the end of regulation, they had like 5 or 6 more shots. So like the shot totals was just insane. Like they literally just let them come right into the blue line. Like they literally had the whole team stacked on the opposite side of the blue line for the Kings. They played the Toronto shell, if you will. But I don't understand how you don't get rid of him after what has happened.
I mean, you can only lose to Edmonton so often.
This would be 4 in a row.
I'm just saying it's not even not losing to them is one thing, but how they've lost these games, I think, is so.
That I think is
more. I mean, if you're expected to lose, I guess that's one thing, but if you're expected to lose for 4 years, you need a change.
But they weren't expected to lose.
I know.
And they've made changes.
But there's no excuse if you're.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
It's almost like, if it doesn't work and you keep losing over and over again, you should maybe make a change and not run it back. But neither here nor there.
I just thought this would be a lot more defensive series, by the way. Like how basically every game has gone over, which is still that's the wild part of that.
Full time, no breaks,
just insane. By the way, another fun stat: McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard have 116 points against the LA Kings in 22 playoff games. By the way, that comes out to 1.72 points per game per person. So basically, those three guys average 2 points per game against the Kings in the playoffs.
That's a fun stat.
That's insane. Very fun stat. Insanity. So, Brock, we'll give you a chance to redeem yourself and move on to the next series. Can Calvin Pickard take them to a Stanley Cup final?
No.
Oh, okay.
You think they go back to Skinner? I think if they go back to Skinner, they are desperate.
Calvin Pickard is 3-0 with a .904 save percentage at the moment.
Yeah, that screams Stanley Cup. Yeah.
Stuart Skinner in 2 games was at 81% save percentage.
I didn't say
I do understand where you give Skinner the crease for a new series. Like once Edmonton inevitably beats the Kings, I could see them giving Skinner game 1 of round 2. Just be like, look,
they'll go back to Skinner when they struggle. They'll go back to Skinner when they struggle. They'll lose a couple in a row, then they'll go back to Skinner.
Is it already too late at that point?
I don't think so.
Does it have to be at home? That'd be my question. Because you can't do it on the road, I feel like.
Look at the teams they would face.
Like, if they win this series, they're playing Vegas.
Yeah. You think if Edmonton's down 2-0 and then they switch to Skinner, it goes the same way that this Kings series goes?
It could. Vegas hasn't looked like
I'm not betting on it.
Super stellar defensively like we expected them to. Like Minnesota, like Kaprizov and Boldy essentially, had their way with that decor. So we'll see. And as I'm saying this, Rantanen has just scored to make it 4-3 in the Dallas Colorado game.
Yeah, well, don't get ahead of me. We'll transition real quick into. I still think Jim Hiller is out. I think you got to get rid of him, even if he wins this series by some miracle of God. I still think you got to get rid of the man. But anyway, we'll move into the Vegas Minnesota series. Good transition. Vegas did win the series this evening. Mark LTIR Stone with the game-winning goal. Just a couple hints here. Minnesota shot 14%, by the way, in this series, and still didn't win, which is fascinating because Vegas was at 8.9%. Aiden Hill was 4-2. Again, an 8.65 save percentage. He did not play very well, and they still found a way. Big turning point in this series was Game 5 when Gustav Nyquist was called offside with 1:15 left to nullify the game-winning goal from what turned into game-winning goal for Minnesota. Got nullified. I think that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back because then Vegas turned around and scored in overtime 5 minutes later. To your point, too, Kirill Kaprizov, he's been sick. Did you know he's second in Wild history with career playoff goals, and he's only played 20? Well, he's played 25 games now, but he's only 1 goal behind Zach Parise for the all-time lead in Minnesota Wild history. That's just insane to me. And then another fun stat. Did you know Minnesota is 0-5 all-time in Game 4s when they lead a series 2-1?
That's a stat?
That is a stat. So
save that for the betting.
Right. So as far as silver linings, obviously this Minnesota team is going to look a lot different come next season with the cap situation that they're in. Is there still something to take away from this playoff run, or do you feel like it is kind of a disappointment for them to get bounced the way they did?
No, they got healthy, just in the nick of time, and they're giving Vegas a series. They're not getting pushed around. They're holding their ground. They're a good team as is, but
who could have predicted that?
They're going to have a lot more opportunities to build on their roster for the future. So I think Minnesota is definitely a team to look out for. I mean, Rossi's only going to get better. Same with Boldy. I still think they're going to be a great team.
Okay.
They already are.
Yeah, I was going to say it's hard to argue that they're not a good team. But moving forward from the Vegas perspective, Brock, what is there a team that Vegas would prefer to play when it comes to Edmonton or LA, or do you think it matters that they're destined for the Western Conference play or Western Conference Finals?
I don't think it matters. I do think Vegas is going to the conference final. I don't think it matters which one they play. I think that they're just built better, fundamentally, top to bottom. They got the goalie that can give them the extra save. They got the biggest decor in the playoffs.
Nice. That's always good.
Yeah,
would you say a fairy-sized decor?
It's a fairy-sized decor. Absolutely.
Okay. Nice.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Jenny, by the way. I hope she listens to these. The other thing, too, is Jack Eichel finally got on the score sheet in tonight's game, too.
Yes,
but he finally put one in the back of the net. He's been coming on as of late, which they're definitely going to need him if they're going to go all the way to the cup final and win a cup final for sure. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. I had Vegas in my finals. I've been telling you for like 3 or 4 months that they've been bound for the Western Conference Finals ever since the trade deadline ended. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and then we'll McKinnon. Yeah, you're right. Rantanen did score. So it is 4-3 Dallas as we're recording this. They're in the second intermission. Dallas does lead the series 3-2. I don't know. I thought this would be. I didn't think this was going to be a 6-game series. I thought for sure this would be 7, but it's really looking
not
like
over.
It's going to be a 6-game series.
Not over yet. It's only a 1-goal.
7 goals in 2 periods.
Yeah, relax. This is not over yet.
Do you think that Dallas has to win this game tonight? I mean, they don't want to go back to? I mean, I guess they do have home ice, but do they really want to go to Game 7 with this Avalanche team?
I don't think they want to. I don't know if they'll have a choice.
That's probably the long and the short of it.
Can you tell me what's happened with Cale Makar? Because he's only got 2 points and he's a -3 in this series so far too.
Well,
and I guess he did have a point tonight. He did have a point tonight.
They've cued in on him and figured something out because he does not look superhuman.
Yeah, he's got to be more comfortable with less space. You got to find a way just to make that work. And he will.
For sure.
I mean, McKinnon's been McKinnon. He's got 7 points in 5 games. Colorado is shooting 9%. Blackwood has going into this game, he had a .909 save percentage. So again, I don't think that's hateful by any means.
It's better than your fucking Calvin Pickard.
Okay. Wyatt Johnston has 5 points in 5 games. Again, Rantanen has scored twice, 2 games in a row now. He does. I think he's got 5 points now, if not 6, depending on if he's got an extra point tonight. Oh, he does have an assist on the rope hint, so he's got 6 points total. Ottinger is 3-2 with a .914 save percentage. I mean, do you think the winner of this game is bound to be the Western Conference representative? That's okay. Maybe that's my hot take question. Like, what is this? The winner of this series? Is this the Florida series all over again? Like the winning team is going to go all the way to the Cup final?
I think so.
Why? I got Vegas going.
Oh, okay.
No, I had Colorado winning the Cup this year. Like, so if Dallas beats my Cup pick, I think they got to become my favorite just by default. Like, they beat my Cup pick.
Nice.
Which would be friggin' just classic me. I pick Tampa and Colorado go to the final, and they both get bounced in round 1. That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah. The Leafs.
Our listeners know who to listen to.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can take the Leafs out of the fan, but you can't take the fan out of the Leafs, you know? My favorite part, by the way, this whole series was Game 5. Did you guys see the Jared Bednar behind Jared Bednar on the bench?
Yes.
Yeah, that was by
I love how Buddy knew exactly what he was doing too. That made it so much
Yes.
better. He knew exactly what he was doing.
I wonder how many outfits he came to the rink with.
Yeah.
Like perfect time match. Like he matched him to a T. Yes, that was so perfect. Yeah. But that's probably my favorite part of the series. Another thing I guess I just thought of too is like the Stars could get scarier because they don't even have Heiskanen right now.
Mm-hmm.
If they find a way to survive this series, like
that's what I said. Like
they're
the winner of this is going to the final.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. They could be even scarier.
I just think that side of the bracket's so much harder. That's why I had Vegas penciled into it.
We'll see.
By the time whoever's on that side meets Vegas, it's going to be
that good against Minnesota. Like, I don't know, man.
I agree.
They didn't look that good. They looked okay, and they got it done. So there's that. But I don't know. I think you're silly.
Like they're winning games and their best players aren't showing up yet.
That's fair. That's a great point. That is a very, very good
interesting
point.
How
Rantanen just came alive, and now they're starting to win. So, well, fair enough. We'll see. Hopefully, as this game wraps up, they still got a whole period left. But we have to. Speaking of wrapping up, we have to get negative here. Somebody's going to the bin, by God, and it's that time. So, Brock, who are you? Who are you putting in the bin, Brock?
Who am I putting in the bin?
Yeah,
that's a good question. I mean, we got a couple good ones to choose from here. I'll take this one because I think it's interesting that some of these coaches actually did win the Jack Adams. But
damn you.
Oh, I can switch if you want that one.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. The research department just looked it up. That's all.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I like it. So
yeah, go ahead.
The research department is doing good work. The Jack Adams winners 4 of the past 5 winning coaches are no longer coaching that team, which is interesting. Now, Bruce Cassidy in 2020, that was the year no, that wasn't the year they went off. That was Jim Montgomery when they went off. And that's in 2023. But yeah, 2021, Rob Brindamore, who is obviously still there. Daryl Sutter in Calgary, who, wow, talk about just one and done. Then Montgomery in 2023 and Rick Tocchet this past year in Vancouver. It's interesting how this carousel goes so quickly.
Yeah.
Like it's nice to see that we're starting to see some new coaches, but I'm not necessarily convinced one way or the other that it's gonna
makes you think
that
how
direction.
important are the coaches if they're so expendable?
Mm-hmm.
What are the
like I said,
expectations
like
as a coach?
They are really just the motivators.
And are they realistic?
I would hope so, but like it depends. Like, what are all of their responsibilities? Like, I'm not proclaiming to know the ins and outs of every single head coaching job in the NHL, but
well, you should. You're on this panel of experts that we call this podcast.
But I would think that, again, I always oversimplify this when it comes to coaching. There's so many more layers to it than I always let on. But like, it's really just motivating people. So if you lose the room, how do you get that back? Like, and there are some coaches that are more X's and O's oriented. Then you've got like the Tortorellas of the world who are like just pure emotion. Like, people are motivated in different ways. And in hockey, there's so many different people that you have to motivate. It's not like basketball where it's really just like 7 or 8 guys that you got to manage, like 3, maybe 4 into your bench. Whereas hockey, like it's upwards of 20 plus. And then you got your tweeners, and the AHL factors into this a little bit. Like, there are so many more personalities that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So maybe we are being too hard on them. Maybe their job is really hard.
Maybe the expectation's too high. You never know. But Graham, who you putting in the bin this week?
Fun stat: Eric Holla has now lost to the same opponent in 3 consecutive seasons, despite playing for 3 different teams.
Oh, that's tough.
So he does really not like the Carolina Hurricanes.
He's the opposite of Pat Maroon, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Nice.
Nice. Literally.
Okay.
He is a Corey Perry in Cup Finals.
There you go. Speaking of him, by the way, we didn't even mention him in the Edmonton, but he has been like the biggest X factor. Like, he's literally up there planting his ass right in front of the net, and at like 40 years old or whatever it is. I just think it's really funny. How long do you think McDavid and Draisaitl have to wait for him to catch up? Like, if they were balls to the wall, like, man, I feel like they could skate up and down before he even got up, if that made sense. So, Heyo. Nice. Oh, wow. You're right. I did say that. Damn. All right. Eric Holla. Sorry, Eric Holla. Anyway. All right. Well, I will do. I'll put the Buffalo Sabres in the bin. I do love Tage Thompson, but because he's on my fantasy team. But the Buffalo Sabres are the only team in the NHL not to be selectable in the NHL Playoff Bracket Challenge that everybody gets into when the playoffs
That really
starts.
is kind of fun.
That started 11 years ago, by the way. Just for anybody
man.
keeping track at home. And also, the last time, another fun stat I found on this Buffalo Sabres take, the last time the Sabres made the playoffs, Ovi was 594 goals away from the scoring record.
He was barely a third of the way there, like 40% of the way there.
I hate to be the guy that like digs the knife in, because again, I don't want to pick on Buffalo. I think they do have a good team. I'd love to see them make the playoffs, but like when these things come across my algorithm, I just can't. I cannot not be like, wow, that is just incredible.
Wow, that's incredibly fucking shitty.
Yeah, like how. God, how? Just that's literally the only thing I can come up with. Just how. So, all right, fair enough. Well, that was in the bin. That was sponsored by Warlord Beard Oil. Make sure to check out warlordbeardoil.com and use the promo code OldSports for 15% off beard oils, washes, soaps, and more. Brock, I think you said they have a baby oil section, so you can check that out. And you do get orders over $75. You do get free shipping. So take it from Big Canada Daddy, oily.
Have we explained that bit to you, Graham?
No.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wait till we get off pod.
Check out warlordbeardoil.com. Again, promo code is Old City Sports for 15% off. So, and then we're going to transition into getting the C. This is sponsored by SeatGeek. You can use the SeatGeek app and use the promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off your first purchase. And again, make sure you let them know that Between the Benches sent you. And Graham, we'll let you go first this time. Who are you giving the C to?
Well, I'm not going to be mean to the Buffalo Sabres fans. They've been through enough.
Dalton just kicking them while they're down.
Tage Thompson.
Nice.
He has averaged 1.97 goals per 60 at 5-on-5 this past season, which is the highest since the TOI has been recorded since 2007, I believe.
Yeah.
And so there's some love. I mean, it's not like the Sabres fans don't know how good Tage is, but I guess that's just a way to show it.
Do you know how good Tage Thompson is? Because a month ago, you were like, "Oh yeah, Travis Konecny is just as good as Tage Thompson."
Yeah, I still think Travis Konecny is still very good.
Okay, but
representing Canada, by the way.
There it is. Well done. Well done. Yeah, Tage Thompson can't even be on Team USA, which is just a whole nother.
Chris Kreider can.
Yeah, okay. It was just an exhibition.
Good call.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fair enough. Brock, who are you putting? Who are you giving the C to this week?
I got a few. So
nice.
I'm just gonna make these quick and dirty. Number one, the Leafs. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me sane for at least another couple weeks. I don't have to completely lose my mind because there is that. Secondly, we found out his name, Kyle Flemington, for risking life and limb, getting between Tom Wilson and Josh Anderson.
Josh Anderson. Yeah.
And I think it was game 4. I think it was game 4. Oh, that was just incredible to watch. And last but certainly not least, my brother is getting married. And that happens on Saturday. I'm super excited. We finished planning everything tonight, myself and the maid of honor. We're pretty confident we're going to nail this MCing gig. And
nice.
We're gonna have a really, really, really good time.
You have your speech written out? Like you're a writer down of the speech?
Sure don't. I gotta finish that tomorrow.
Nice.
I am a procrastinator at heart.
Well, fair enough. Well, shout out to Corbin. Congratulations.
Yeah. Love you guys.
Nice. Hope they don't have anything wrong with your nephews and nieces when they decide when the time comes. So we'll see. All right. Well, fair enough. Well, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but the DIF fans, I couldn't find a name for this organization, but they do play in the Swedish Hockey League. DIF is in the Division 2 of Swedish hockey. But their last game, they won. And the reason I wanted to give them the C is because literally their fans stormed the ice. Like they were literally breaking down or jumping over the glass to storm the ice to celebrate with the team. For them making it and getting promoted back into the Swedish Hockey League of Division 1.
Oh, that explains what happened in Pittsburgh with the guy. He tried to do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love I'll send you guys the video off pod. Maybe I can edit it in right here in this part of the podcast. But yeah, they won. They moving on to Division 1 of the Swedish Hockey League. So yeah, if you're a fan of the DIF, I wish I knew the name of the team. I could not find it. Google failed me on that, so I apologize. But shout out to them. That hockey needs to see more of that. I mean, you see, basketball. These
players go in the stands.
Yeah, well, they usually exactly. It's a little like reverse psychology there. I think that'd be really fun to see. So, but again, that was we're giving out the C. That was courtesy of SeatGeek app. Make sure you use the promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off your purchase. Do we have anything else to add? Anybody got anything else to add? The Oilers did score again, so now it's 4-2. The Kings are looking like the nail is in the coffin. It's not the third period yet, but we are certainly getting there. Anything at all to take us home?
I mean,
no. Okay, you could just say no.
4 in a row to the.
Let's just let Brock enjoy the Leafs win, and we'll let you sulk in the Lightning defeat.
Okay, that's fair. I'm a Leafs fan. I'm Leafs to the Cup final. Okay, I had it in my bracket. Exactly. I had Vegas and Toronto in my Stanley Cup bracket.
Sure did.
Yeah, the Leafs go from one Kachuk to the other.
Yeah. First team to beat both Kachucks in consecutive playoff series. Let's go.
Nice.
Here we go.
I might give you consecutive games.
Here we go.
Well, we shall see. Well, We hope that you guys join us in next time. From me, myself, Dak, Grandpa, Big Canada Daddy, Brock Finch. We are the Between the Benches podcast presented by Old City Sports Network. Again, make sure to check out oldcitysports.com, all the blogs. Check out the merch. Promo code BTB15 at checkout, 15% off. Happy hockey, and we shall see you next week. And that concludes this week's episode of Between the Benches. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and check us out on YouTube. Also hit the like and subscribe button and look out for the next episode. Until next week, your Harley Riders.
Doc, what a fitting ending! This is incredible!